Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Bullony Basketball. Here today with a very special guest, my guy, Reliable Rants. How you doing today?
Going on? Doing well, doing well.
This is we've collabed many times, but we've never collabed on my channel. So this is a
Yeah.
monumental moment. but
Usually for Suns Geek and
yeah,
Romp.
yeah, for those guys. But who cares about those guys today? but yeah, so no, for today we're gonna be recapping the first round series. Now that the last one just concluded, I think we're gonna go in the order of like 1 seed matchups, then 2 seed, then 3 seed, and we'll start with the team that had the best record in the regular season, the Milwaukee Bucks, and they got beat by the 8 seed Miami Heat. So, what were your
Understand.
thoughts about this series?
Um, I thought honestly it came down to like a couple things. I thought depth was a big issue. I thought the Bucks defensive game plan was absolutely flawed. I mean, we can look as deep as we want, but like Giannis getting injured in game one and then being out in the next game, he doesn't want to say it, but he obviously wasn't 100%.
Mm-hmm.
When the best player in the NBA goes out, and then you have to rely on people like Middleton and Holiday who are already playing 47 minutes a game. It was kind of like a next man up mentality that kind of was very flawed due to their lack of depth. Uh, so I think the Heat were making like so many shots this series. It's like they couldn't miss this series. So that their momentum mixed with like just Giannis and the inability to guard Jimmy Butler or make any positive defensive rotations. I think a lot of it goes on Budenholzer, and I think some of it uh, just had to do with the ever growing momentum that the Heat have right now, knowing that they just beat the Knicks in Game One. So I thought it was just a mix of both of those, honestly.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be. I mean, it was a really interesting series because, like, I mean, I agree with you. I don't think Giannis still was 100% even when he first came back. Because, like, in Game 4, they had like the thing on his back, like to massage it and like keep it loose
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I don't know if he was still using that in Game 5, but like my best bet is he still wasn't 100%. But at the same point, I mean, there are some legends that will tell you that if you step between the lines, then you're basically saying you're good enough to play, you're good to go. So
Mhm.
it's hard to hold that as an excuse, especially on the other side when it's like they lost Tyler Hero, they lost Victor Oladipo, and obviously neither of
Yep.
them are Giannis, but like that's still like two of maybe their
Oh yeah.
top 6 players like this season. Like
Yeah,
Oladipo probably has
absolutely.
been a top 5 or 6 player, and then Hero's probably say a
20,
top three
23.
player, yeah, this year. So,
Absolutely.
um, I mean, losing both of them and the fact they still got it done. Even like Kevin Love, I know he played through it, but he had like a head injury like in the first game or something, like
Mhm.
after he fell from like a rebound or something. But like they
Yeah.
still came out and they dominated. I think the
Yeah.
Bucks they had a lot of problems though. They're gonna need to address this offseason with like Lopez as a free agent and like Middleton like never really felt like he was 100% this year, and then obviously with Drew Holiday, great defender, but is his maybe lack of offensive efficiency enough to
There was
limit
yeah,
that?
in this series there was like there was no sense of urgency from Middleton or Holiday. And
Mm,
that's really not something you see with Holiday usually. Like obviously he's like motor defensive guy, but like I just didn't see a sense of urgency, especially from like Middleton who had to obviously step up as the number one.
right.
I literally just didn't see it. It was like a different Bucks team. And yeah, like what you said about like stepping in between the lines is how you can't use that as an excuse. Like I agree, but like at the same time, like it's gonna hinder your performance. And like the fact that Giannis like
Mm.
didn't want to talk about it after kind of like alludes to the idea that like yeah, he just doesn't want to use that as an excuse because he's Giannis. But like yeah, you could tell he was a little. I mean, even though he was putting up like 30-point triple doubles, like it was still tough. Yeah, it was just a absolute shit show. Sorry. Yeah.
No, no,
Like, can
I
you
mean,
curtains?
yeah, it's fine, it's fine. But yeah, I
Okay.
mean, honestly, like I would probably have to agree with you on that. Like, and it's gonna be interesting to see what the Miami Heat do moving forward. I don't know if you have any other thoughts on this series or if you want to move on to the next one.
Yeah, I think that about sums it up, honestly. Just yeah.
So the other 1 versus 8, we had the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves. You know, Jokic, Murray, Anthony Edwards, Cat. Um, what did you see from this matchup?
Yeah, like I know. First of all, I know you're a huge Nuggets stan, so you've defended them. You say they might go to the finals. So I was like, I've never believed in the Nuggets hugely because every single year they finish as the number 1 or 2 seed and make it. I think they made the Western Conference Finals once or twice, and it's like you don't expect the Nuggets to be any better than they are because they keep a similar roster every year. So I kind of went in with expectations of like, okay, maybe round one they'll probably lose to the Suns in round two, and that'll be it. They look a lot. They've in round one they looked a lot better than I expected. Yeah. Wait, Minnesota took one game from them. Or, yeah, only one, right? Yeah. They played. They just look very very put together, and I feel like everybody knows their role. Jamal Murray's coming in his own at the perfect time, and it's Jamal Murray's gonna be the X factor because defenses are gonna do whatever they can to shut down Jokic. When you have Murray putting up 30 a night, like that's tough to stop, man. And especially mixed with their depth, people like Bruce Brown and like that Braun guy coming off the bench, like especially with the Suns, I guess we're kind of veering off, but like that's gonna be a problem. Like their depth is gonna cause havoc for the league. So like they've definitely impressed me so far. And like obviously the Wolves didn't have much expectation for this series, but I would expect like a 5-game sweep. But like I think the way they did it with like their sense of urgency and their cohesiveness was like impressive to me. So like if honestly if I had to make a prediction, I would probably take the Nuggets over the Suns based off what I saw so far.
Yeah, I mean, in this series, it really felt like Denver came in control. Like, see, the one thing that concerned me about Denver, because I think when we were on that live show together like a month before the season ended, and I was like, I probably trust Denver to win the West. But then they went on that big spell where like they couldn't get it together and they were playing lazy, and then it was like it made me have like second thoughts about it. But then when Mike Malone said like they had a great week of practice before game one against them, and they were motivated, they were locked in, and like just seeing the way that they kind of dominated the whole series, honestly, if Jokic makes a free throw near the end of game four, they sweep Minnesota. Like that was all the difference was really. And then, you look at what we've seen so far in like game one, like they came out as the more prepared, aggressive team than Phoenix. So like, I just feel like they're more locked in now. Like they've flipped that switch. Maybe they got a little bored per se is what people say, in the regular season near the end, which makes sense. But, this Minnesota team, at least they didn't get swept. I mean, like, it's still not great considering you think about the Gobert trade in the offseason. It's like
Crazy. Wild.
all that just for that guy, and it hasn't panned out. To be fair, like, Cat had some injuries and stuff too, but we just haven't really seen them mesh well. And now, like, we're hearing people say maybe they need to trade Cat, or maybe they do need to trade Gobert now before he gets any worse. But I don't know. I think personally the Timberwolves, they're a solid team, but they're not like a contending team like the Denver Nuggets. The fact they got one game honestly was, I guess, impressive in itself, just because I thought maybe they would be swept. So
They needed Ant to like put up 40 like he did.
yeah.
Like no, what I always say, or like what I've realized recently is like that this Gobert trade really reminds me of the Blake Griffin Pistons whole thing that happened a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The difference of this, like, they didn't give up too much for Blake Griffin. The Timberwolves like literally ruined their next 4 years. Like absolutely just ruined with this deal. It was almost it could go down almost worse than that Nets Paul Pierce crazy trade. Like this trade was ridiculous. Like 4 firsts is crazy. Like
Yeah.
And now seeing like, yeah, I agree with you. Like Cat and Gobert, were healthy, suspended at some points in the season, but it's like even them at their highest level of play, no one can make the argument that they're getting anywhere near a championship in the West. If you just like, and yeah, the Timberwolves are in some very very tough times ahead of them. Like it's gonna be tough. Anthony Edwards is pretty much their only rough spot. I mean, they have really no depth. They're playing Nickeil Alexander-Walker like 25 minutes a night. Like, I don't know. Timberwolves fans should not be happy right now.
Yeah, they were, by the end of it, they were playing like 7 guys. It felt like.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So I don't know, but yeah. If you want though, we move on to another series between the 2 seed Celtics, 7 seed Atlanta Hawks. This series, personally for me, like based on the other ones, probably wasn't as entertaining. Although Game 5 was pretty insane. But what'd you say, or what do you think from this series?
I'd say overall, I was impressed by the Hawks because after watching Game 1, it was 30-point lead in the first quarter. I was like, this is going to be a sweep and it's not even going to be close. And then I started like rethinking like the Hawks as a team, and then I was like, oh, they took 2 games. Like I was kind of impressed. I mean, obviously, like with 2-7 seed most of the time, like especially with the Celtics who have crazy expectations, like I didn't have much expectation for the Hawks. I mean, like I didn't like they have a pretty good team on paper, so it's like the fact that they, came through and rallied 2 games against one of the best teams in the league, and for some people a finals favorite, was pretty impressive to me. The young Murray backcourt was, pretty inconsistent at some points in the season, but I thought they grew a lot together more. So it's like, I think this Hawks team definitely grew from this. Next year, again, I don't see them making too much noise in the East in terms of, title contending or anything like that. But I think they're close to hitting their potential as a backcourt, and like the rest of the team, they're role players around them, but yeah, the Hawks impressed me a little bit just based off of the first game, how they freaking went down 30 in the first quarter. So, yeah, I'm not too much, but I thought the Hawks were, they did the best they could late down the stretch.
The other thing too is like even in that game 1 where they got down big early, and then game 2 like didn't really feel like they were gonna win either, but like they still managed a comeback to some extent to make it close. I think they got like within 12 or something in game 1, and I think they got like. It was within single digits in game 2, even though they were down big as well. So like they made it interesting, and then still managed to take 2 games. I mean, the only series that went longer in the first round was Kings Warriors, right? So like basically you could argue like they lasted the 10th or like 11th longest of any team in the league this year. And like considering the season they've had, like if you would have asked them like, hey, you guys are gonna last longer than the Milwaukee Bucks, they probably would have thought like, well, that's crazy in itself because our season's been pretty up and down.
Good way to put it.
Yeah. So, I mean, not honestly pretty impressive for them. I'm kind of a little bit scared for Boston though, because I feel like sometimes they get in these lapses mentally, and then like they can't put teams away. And like that's kind of the thing going forward when now they're going to be playing Philly, and then if they have to play New York or Miami, at least, they're the more talented team than New York and then Miami, like if they get to the conference finals. But both those teams are going to be playing like locked in. They're going to be given a ton of heart no matter what if they match up against them. So like you can't have lapses against them, So that's kind of the big thing here. I mean, I think most of us figured the Celtics would win the series, and they did. Probably went a little longer than it should have, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think honestly, Tatum didn't really have the best series either. Like no one's gonna talk about it because it was his number. Wow, his voice cracked. His numbers were still pretty good, but like, he was shooting a little bit. He was pretty inconsistent through some parts of the series. Like 8 of 22 were like most of his games. So it's like they need, first of all, like their team is so beautiful on paper. I mean, Brogdon coming off the bench, like every team would want that. But yeah, I agree with you. Sometimes they hit these dry spells, and that could be the death of them late down the playoffs. But they definitely have a team that can win the championship. I truthfully believe that. I think they're playing at their best, they can win a championship. But like they can't play like how they played against the Hawks down the stretch if they want to win the chip. So it's interesting situation for the Celtics, but I would still be optimistic.
Yeah, honestly, like for me, I mean, maybe not the best player in the series, but like the most consistent player felt like Derek White for them, like in the series. And that's great. Like you always want like those like 3rd, 4th, 5th guys to step up, but like you can't rely on them to like carry you if you're gonna hope to win a championship. And before the season, they were projected like preseason odds to be the favorites to win the championship. So like they're gonna have to like have more consistency from Tatum, from Brown, Smart, and so on. But
Brown's still all banged up too. He's got the like the finger and the back and everything.
But yeah, if you want though, we can move on to probably the series you have the most positive thoughts about, and that is the Memphis Grizzlies and your Los Angeles Lakers. Being that you are a Lakers fan, tell me what'd you see from the series?
Honestly, like I didn't want to say this, but going into it, I really didn't think we were gonna win the series. I saw us lose to pretty much G League team, or not lose, but like literally like we pretty much almost lost to the G League Suns and the G League Jazz down the stretch because we were playing like their 3rd units, and I was like seeing this team, and I was like, it's we mesh well, but we're literally winning by 3 points against teams we should be blowing out. So now going into a game against the 2 seed and one of the best point guards in the league, I literally was very pessimistic. I was like, oh my God, this is not going to be good. And then after game one, I was just like, I think the X factor was Austin Reeves, unbiasedly, even though he's one of my favorite players. But I thought we really, really grew as a team during the series. Like I was at game three, and like we went up 35-9 in the first quarter. I think we've learned how to gain momentum really fast as a team, and everybody's learned their role. And I think Darvin Ham, I just made a crazy rant about how terrible he's been. He made a great adjustment last series. He finally took out Malik Beasley and Troy Brown because they suck. And then we end up winning by 40. So it's like, I think when we're playing the right players, we have this solidified 9-man rotation, we're going to be hard to beat. I mean, everybody knows their role. And even if AD's not making an impact offensively, like he's been the best defender in the playoffs. And I don't think it's really been close. So I think our potential is higher than I expected. I was really impressed by this series. Also happy that Dylan Brooks had to take the walk of shame. He's probably like my least favorite human in the world. So yeah, overall I was impressed. I was really hard on, my team. I think everybody is, but like I was impressed overall. Sure. How we, defensively too.
Yeah, I mean, coming into the series, I did pick Memphis to win this, but I even said like this is definitely a series that the Lakers could get. Like I think, especially with Steven Adams being out, Brandon Clark being out, it's gonna make it really hard to win the rebounding battles. And I guess got to give credit to Xavier Tillman because he probably did better than I thought he would. Even though like you're still not gonna stop AD, you're not gonna stop LeBron. Who I believe LeBron didn't he have like a 20 rebound game or something like that too in the series? So
22 and 20.
Yeah, so I mean, like it's just too hard. Like when they went small, like they throw in like maybe Tyus with Ja and stuff like that, and like it's just a lot to ask like out of this team, and especially because like I feel like with the Grizzlies, everything that's like happened this season, like it almost felt inevitable that they were going to lose this series. And then game 4 felt really reminiscent of like when they played the Warriors last year in game 4. And I know like a lot of Grizzlies fans thought like because they weren't healthy then, like they were missing Ja and that was the difference. But like they made a lot of the same crucial mistakes because that was probably the game, that was the like deciding factor of the series. Because if they win that and it's 2-2 back to Memphis, like maybe it's a different outcome. But losing that and going down 3-1, like that's really tough to overcome no matter if you have home court advantage. So that's kind of the thing with Memphis. Maybe next year, like they'll probably be more locked in. We'll see what happens with Dylan Brooks. But as for the Lakers, this is definitely a better team from the last 2.5 months. I know you've been telling me that like this team is way better ever since the trade deadline, which is true. Austin Reeves has stepped up. D'Angelo Russell stepped up. I personally, even though I knew he would be a solid addition, did not expect Rui Hachimura to play as good as he did the first couple games of this series. So that's definitely a benefit as well. It never the thing that's crazy is that the Lakers won this series. And if you look at like just offensive production, like AD didn't have like a great series based on like the regular season. And it never felt like LeBron like had a dominant game either. Like on the glass, he did the one game, but like other than that, like just scoring the ball, like getting it done. I know he had that late, he had the late layup. I think that was in game 4 to force overtime. But most of that, like down the stretch of that game and the overtime, it never felt like he took over too much unless like the game was decided. And that's kind of the scary thing if you're like playing the Lakers is that like if you have guys if you can count on Reeves or if you can count on D'Lo to do this consistently as well, then it's going to be tough, So
I think,
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I think D'Lo has been, honestly, he's a little bit recency biased, like that last game, the 31. But I've seen some pretty terrible inconsistent play from D'Lo through this series.
Yeah.
Like in game 2, he had like 7 turnovers. Like in the play-in game, like he was like 2 of 10. He just makes a lot of like ill-advised decisions. And when D'Lo's going, we're impossible to beat because like then that's a 4th player that will give you a bucket. It's like D'Lo has been really inconsistent. I think he's gonna be an X factor in this series. I think his minutes might get cut because he's a defensive liability. And to defend that backcourt, like I would expect a lot of Schroeder and Vanderbilt on the floor at all times because D'Lo's honestly just a defensive liability. Like if you saw him playing on Jaw or even when he's playing like in a zone, like he's just not good out there. So we have to rely on he needs to be hitting his shots for him to be effective in this series.
Mm-hmm.
So I think D'Lo's going to be a huge X factor. If Malik Beasley or Troy Brown gets in the game once, like I swear I'm gonna like I'm gonna go crazy. Like I'm so glad that Darvin made those rotations or those changes because that's gonna be huge. And then really quickly touching on AD, like I made a video about this. Like the reason he has these terrible games is when we don't have momentum. Is when we put him like next to the 3-point line and have him post up with 4 lines of defense, like literally like staring at him. That's what we do all the time. And that's not setting him up for success. The way AD scores is literally on fast breaks and offensive rebounds and pick and rolls. So when we're not doing that and AD's kind of trying to go ISO, it's the worst thing that can happen to the Lakers and him. So it's like we need momentum for him to score. And that's been proven throughout this series. And it's too early for me to make a formal prediction on the Warriors series, but I'm like scared. Like the Warriors with momentum is like I am scared. I will be honest.
Yeah. It's gonna be a crazy series. I'm sure most people are looking forward to it, but we'll see what happens. Yeah. But before we touch on the Warriors series that just happened, we could touch real quickly on this Philadelphia-Brooklyn series, the only sweep in the first round. Anything notable that you took away from this series?
Probably the least amount of notable things out of every series. I mean, the Nets, very young team. They really had no expectation. The reason they're in the playoffs is because of the player Kyrie and KD winning 15 in a row before that. So it's like there wasn't much expectation. I mean, a sweep was definitely in the realm of possibility. I mean, there were still Mikal Bridges showed like a lot of flashes of stardom throughout the series. That's a bright spot. But the Sixers did what they needed to do. And I thought Tyrese Maxey was huge and yeah, really not much.
Yeah, basically, the Nets, they had it kind of gift wrapped. I mean, I guess they had to win some games down the stretch of the season to make sure they made the playoffs, but it was essentially gift wrapped that they were going to make it after the KD Kyrie trade. Like they just had to play kind of good enough. But Bridges played well from the remainder of the year through these 4 games. Cam Johnson had a big game and a big dunk on Embiid. Yeah, I mean, like you said, Maxey was probably the best player in this series. And, like, if he can keep that going moving forward, not maybe the best player, but, like, if he can play as well as he did moving forward, then it's going to be, like, a 3-headed monster with him, Harden, and Embiid. And even, like, I thought Tobias played pretty well in this series, too. So, if they can keep that up, maybe they could finally make a push to the conference finals because they haven't made it there since Embiid's been there.
I agree. I think we pretty much covered everything.
But in the next one, this game just ended, the last one, the last first round series that ended. But that is the Sacramento Kings and the Golden State Warriors. Pretty weird way to end the series. The first 4 games seemed predictable, and the last 3 games seemed very unpredictable, if that makes sense. But what did you see from this series?
Man, I'm really, really surprised by the Kings. I mean, going into it, I thought it was going to be a young team with potential, kind of like the Grizzlies-Lakers series, honestly. I thought maybe the Kings would take a game or two. Like, you were really, we're always talking about, the Warriors can't win on the road, And I was like, it's the Warriors and the Kings. Like, I kind of took it from a casual perspective, and they really proved me wrong. One thing I was thinking about during this game is Kings traded Halliburton for Sabonis, and I was thinking about if you stuck Halliburton in that backcourt with Malik Monk off the bench, this would be very tough. I mean, I don't know who would be down low really, but like if you put Halliburton on this team still, like that would be crazy. No, the Kings have a lot to look forward to. De'Aaron's probably a top 5 point guard in the league, and he showed that. Coach of the year, respect, like for sure. Mike Brown, like I think they have a lot to look forward to, and it's like they can't really be mad at themselves for like blowing. I mean, they obviously can, but it's like the fact that they did what they did against the defending champs while they're, I think, a top 4 or 5 youngest team in the entire league. is like impressive, and they have a lot to look forward to. They have so many young brewing stars like Mitchell, De'Aaron still, I guess you could say. They've got a lot to look forward to in the next coming seasons, and I was very much surprised by what the Kings did for sure.
Yeah, honestly, like, see, I made a bold prediction before the series of picking Sacramento in 5 because I thought the odds that they win one in Golden State would be higher than Golden State winning one there. And maybe if Harrison Barnes hits that shot at the end of Game 4, maybe the
Yeah,
momentum switches and maybe they go up 3-1, they go home, maybe they take care of business. But either way, like, I mean, still, it was an insane series. I think most people probably thought this would be like a cakewalk series for the Warriors, and it clearly was not. You know, going down 2-0, that's something this Warriors team is in this era has never experienced. And then losing like a game 6 at home with a chance for them to clinch the series, and they lose it in the way they did, that's also something they'd never experienced. So like they probably, even though I'm sure Warriors fans were still confident in their team because they are the defending champions, there were 2 elements in the series that you've never seen in the Steph, Clay, and Draymond era that I'm sure they were kind of a little bit nervous, just a little bit.
Mhm.
And I mean, De'Aaron Fox, I know he didn't play great in Game 7, but majority of the series he played well. Malik Monk as well. Like, and these are guys that didn't have any playoff experience before, which is the other thing too. They said like no playoff experience. They're just gonna like fumble or something like that. But they showed out. Davion Mitchell, as you said as well. I thought Trey Lyles was big for them in points too. Like honestly, like first couple games, he was maybe their best 4 or 5 that they had. And then it was great to see too, like even though he started off really bad the first couple games, but it felt like Keegan Murray started to get more confidence as the series went on.
Sure.
So that's something to look forward to next year. But yeah, I mean, honestly, they played about as good as they could, but the Warriors as well, they're still a great team. You know, they're getting healthy at the right time. Would be interesting to see, though, because, like, you know, Wiggins, he missed so much time prior to this series. Like, I wonder if he was not there, maybe it changes. I mean, a lot of these games were close, that it might have just changed the tide of at least one of those games, and
Yeah.
maybe it changes the series. Like, that's how close it really was. So I think that's the important thing. They can't hang their heads for that, but yeah, I mean the Warriors, they're just they have the experience, and more times than not, like you predicted or like you said, or you know, like the experienced team more times than not like comes out away with like these types of victories in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I was really impressed with Wiggins this series. I thought coming off like, all the speculation of like whatever was going on personally, missing 2, 3 months of basketball and then coming back, boom, right back to his old self was really impressive. I thought he was absolutely the X factor. Yeah, just like for the Kings, like yeah, like Keegan Murray in his rookie year getting some playoff run against like the best team in the one of the best dynasty ever is gonna bode well for the rest of his career, and like just the Kings overall. Just getting this experience is gonna help him out a lot. Also, De'Aaron was playing with a broken finger, which
Yeah.
people should be talking about more. Like that's very, very hard to do, and like yeah, I just say all the respect to the Kings is the overall message.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more with that. But if you want, we can move on to the 4-5s starting in the East. The Cleveland Cavaliers and the New York Knicks. You know, I'm someone who picked Cleveland to win this series, so I personally was kind of disappointed with the outcome. But what do you think of
I
this
was
series?
so disappointed, man. I don't know if you remember how high I was on the Kings when like we were on one of Sunseek's live streams, but like
You mean the
I,
Cavs
I
or?
oh, did I say
Yeah, yeah,
I say the Kings?
yeah.
The Cavs, my bad.
You're
Yes,
good.
the Cavs. Yeah. I've always been like a Cleveland Browns fan. I think my dad's from Cleveland, so I always like loved the Cavs. But like also like I just thought they had a team built for success against this team. I mean Donovan Mitchell was just god awful. I mean the Knicks defensive game plan was really great on him. They just couldn't stop Jalen Brunson, man. They didn't have a defensive presence to do that. And it's like I think maybe you could blame it on a lack of experience, right? But then you look at the Knicks, who arguably have less experience. Donovan Mitchell's been in playoffs many times, so that was very disappointing for me. Garland played well, but it's like yeah, you got Mobley who his first year, and the Cavs' depth was really not good. I mean, you had Chetty Osman and like a Coro. They can't rely on many people outside of Mitchell and Garland and Allen and maybe Mobley, who's been a little bit inconsistent. But once you lose once you have your star going 11 points on on like 4 of like 17 from the field, like you don't have much of a chance of winning. But I was also very impressed by the Knicks. Like to win game 1 in Cleveland, I think set the tone for the rest of the series. I really expected the Cavs to come out and just take that game, but yeah, I think it was a problem with depth. I think the Knicks are deeper, and I think Donovan Mitchell was just missing shots. I mean, he was really just missing shots, and I think once that happens, it's just a domino effect down from there. But yeah, I was really disappointed because the Cavs were like one of the teams I thought could maybe go to the conference finals.
Yeah, and I'm sure they got to be kicking themselves too because of you look at who's next, like who is next in the bracket for them, and it's like they be playing Miami, so it's like they get home court advantage again in the next round, and Miami's a team who they've played pretty well against this year too, and like that's a team that Mitchell hasn't really struggled with, even though you would think that he's kind of had his way in the regular season against them, so maybe they could have had an easy path to the conference finals if they got past this series, but ultimately they didn't. Yeah, the inexperience kind of shows, and I think one thing maybe that the front office, like Colby Altman, is probably regretting is just the fact of like letting them like just get rid of Kevin Love, because you look at how he's brought a lot of energy for the Heat, and he was a big reason why they beat the Bucks. He's a big reason why they just won game 1 against this Knicks team today. So like you think about those things, and he has experience. He's an NBA champion. He's been to the finals many times, right? So, and even though like most people will say that was kind of because of like LeBron and Kyrie and stuff, like he still is there. And even when he was at his best, he was a great player in the league. So factor all that in, he could space the floor as well. A lot better than some of these small forwards that Cleveland had out there. Like, no offense to Jetty Osman, no offense to Isaac Okoro, but these guys were not hitting threes consistently. Even Karis LeVert was very up and down in the series. And then the thing that struck me is like, even though last time we saw when the Knicks made the playoffs a couple years ago, and we saw Julius Randle kind of crumble, and I thought he'd be better this series, he really wasn't even that much better, if at all. But like, I kind of thought Darius Garland would have a similar situation to what we saw out of Randle 2 years ago. And other than game 2, that's kind of was the case. And maybe like a little stretch of game 4. But if you're Donovan Mitchell, like this is probably got to be the most embarrassing like part of your career so far, because it's like you think about before the season, this Knicks team said that they didn't want you. They didn't want to give up RJ Barrett to get you, right? Even though that's like your hometown team and everything like that, and you get a chance with home court advantage to play them in the playoffs, and then his first 3 games, I honestly thought were not that bad, but the last 2 games,
he had like 38 in the first. That was crazy.
Yeah, and even game 2, he didn't play great, but like it's hard to fault him when they win by such a big margin in that one. And I thought game 3 he was doing a lot, like from scoring and facilitating, but then game 4 was just bad. Like if you're gonna, he was really like a decoy most of the second half, bringing like Josh Hart away from like the pick and roll action with Garland and whether it was Mobley or Allen or something. Like if you're going to allow that to happen, like then you got to have a discussion with the coaching staff that they can't have like one of you guys on the court and the other on the bench for like the next 9 minutes, because that's kind of like what drove the game. I think they went up like 5, and then after that change they went down like 8. So, and it was too hard to overcome. But I don't know. I think they're going to be kicking themselves. They're still going to probably be a playoff team again next year unless like something drastic happens. But yeah, I mean the Knicks, they played pretty well. Brunson again. See, that's the other thing why it's also embarrassing for Mitchell. It's like you played last year against Jalen Brunson as the head guy and basically got outplayed by him, and the same thing kind of happened again. So
yeah, I think like first of all, like if you look at the numbers, it's like all 5 starters are playing 40 a night. Like Karis LeVert's playing 40 a night. Like there's stuff there, but also I think when you have this many players playing like inconsistent recently, and like, I think you made me have to look at JB Bickerstaff.
Hmm.
You did a great job throughout the regular season, but I think like all signs point to a coaching issue when you have this much inconsistency and like just lack of production from your players that you need to rely on. Maybe that's an issue, but I still think this Cavs team has a lot to look forward to in the future. I mean, they have still one. You can't doubt their backcourt. I mean, I think Garland's a star. But yeah, this series was definitely disappointing. I mean, absolutely. And I think Brunson's probably maybe a top like 3 point guard in the East. I don't know. Maybe that's a topic for another day. But I'm like Brunson is just tough. I mean,
Yeah.
he's tough. Yeah.
Yeah, he was insane. But if you want, we can move on to the final series in the first round. That is the Phoenix Suns and the Los Angeles Clippers. What were your takeaways from this series?
I was pretty disappointed in the Suns, honestly. The fact that Kawhi-less and I guess the first Paul George-less and almost Kawhi-less the whole time took 2 games from this team. Very disappointing. And again, I was about to make a video on this. The depth is so bad. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, you can't even they're 7 deep, really. I mean, you saw last night having to resort to guys like Jock Landale to find like any sort of production off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's not sustainable for Book and Durant to play 44 a night, Paul to play 44 a night. Like it's just that's the biggest problem for me. I think also the Clippers they fought like Westbrook, like even like the way he affected the game. I thought the Suns defense was pretty lackadaisical, and that's gonna obviously be true when you have Book, who's not an All-Pro defender, who's also tired, Chris Paul, who's probably the worst defender in the series, and then you have Ayton, who he's shown signs of like defensive presence, but just isn't like that guy in the paint. So it's like, of course, they're going to be lackadaisical defensively and no depth, not many people to really resort to defensively. I mean, Josh Okogie is good, but like Monty really can't really find guys to trust besides that big four. You see TJ Warren. I haven't heard TJ Warren's name since the trade. I mean, like
Yeah, he
he was
hasn't hardly
supposed to be
played.
he's supposed to be a huge piece, and now he hasn't hardly played. So Monty is really struggling to find people to trust. And I think if you have these 4 guys playing 45 minutes a night, that I don't see them beating the Nuggets. I mean, the Nuggets are too deep, they're too good, they're too well coached, and they have too many options, and they're just gonna completely outplay the Suns defensively, because the Suns don't have any real defensive like anchor. So yeah, I mean, like, if the Suns needed to take the series, but without Kawhi and Paul George, it was way too close. I mean, 6 should not have happened. Also, some of the games they won was close to like, a couple minutes left. So it's like, I'm not confident based off what we saw in the first series. I'm not confident in the Suns against the Nuggets. And I think depth and lack of defensive presence are the 2 main issues.
Yeah, I mean, not really too much for me to add here. I mean, it felt like the Suns didn't have the urgency like that they should have. I mean, they probably thought like coming into game 1, without Paul George, that they were a shoe-in to win. Well, the other team still has Kawhi Leonard, and Kawhi got the job done. Almost got the job done in game 2, and again, that's after playing with, through his injury and stuff too, because he suffered it, I guess, in game 1, and he played through game 2 with it. But like,
4 minutes.
yeah, so like they even then like still almost overcame that to go up 2-0 while on the road, and then it almost felt like it defeated the purpose of any home court advantage. You weren't gonna win. Like after Kawhi went down, let's face it, the Clippers, they were even worse than the Nets in the Eastern Conference. Like, so it almost felt like this was going to be, just a complete like domination, and it really wasn't. I mean, like even though they won every game from that point on, like the Clippers still made it close, like every game except I think game like 4 or something like that. So I think injuries definitely play a part in this series. I mean, I've been saying, I don't know how you think about this, but I've been saying for a while that like if Kawhi and Paul George are healthy, they're the top team in the league. The only thing is, how often are they healthy lately? That's the big question. So like that's how I feel about this team, and I think honestly, if they were both healthy, I think they would have won this series, especially when they came out with the urgency and the Phoenix Suns did not. So like that's, if I'm the Suns, like, and especially after, because we're recording this after game 1 in the Nuggets series, they didn't come out with urgency that game either. So it's like they can't just like walk in. I get it, like in this situation on the road, but like you got to come like ready to play. Because the Nuggets, like they've heard all year long, oh, the Nuggets are fake. They're the worst 1 seed ever. Like, so they have something to prove, you know? Oh, Jokic, he's always a meltdown in the playoffs or whatever, which I don't really think is even true. But like the point is, like, this is what people have been saying about them. Oh, Bubble Murray was a fluke. So they're gonna bring their best game, but you know the Phoenix Suns, they can't just like walk in here and be like, oh, we got KD now, we're a super team. But that's what I would say moving forward for them. But yeah.
Yeah, I think also something funny last night on the TNT. Charles was asked Jamal Murray. He was like, "Are you?" He's something like, "Are you bubble? Is it Bubble Murray or is it Healthy Murray?" I thought that was pretty funny because that spoke to like, oh, he is really good when he's healthy. I think you could also make the case that it's like the Suns would be way better right now with Bridges and Johnson. Like it's hard to argue against that right now. I mean, obviously KD's been playing amazing. The biggest issue for them is depth, and I think Johnson and Bridges, like looking how good they've been, it's hard to think that they wouldn't be better without with KD instead of them. I also think like lastly, like I think this is gonna take a really big toll on Chris Paul. I mean, you're really going all in. He's playing 40 minutes a night at the age he is. He's already regressing, so I think it's gonna play a big part in the next year. I mean, like he is exerting a lot.
Yeah.
And it's really just because Campaign is just not trustworthy. You can't trust Campaign. They don't have anyone else to go to as a backup one. So, yeah, everything's been going downhill really for the Suns. But like, I mean, I still think they could pull it together. I think there's a chance they can win this series. I wouldn't take them to. I'd probably take the Nuggets in 6. But hey, when you got Kevin Durant and D-Book, like you're always gonna have a chance. But really, it's gonna be about depth at the end.
Yeah, I mean, even if they don't win this year, like the championship, I don't consider it a failure just because it's like last minute, like putting stuff together. But next year, people are going to be looking at this team with a hard look, and they're going to be like, well, they need to win this year. So, but that's the thing. But yeah, I mean, so we basically covered every first round series. If you want, though, we can move on to the mini game, which I didn't know what to call it. So I guess I called it like the NBA puzzle block mini game. But yeah, if you want,
let's do it.
I'll explain the rules to you and to everyone watching because I've never done this puzzle block mini game before. So basically, this mini game is a mystery-based mini game where the contestant, which would be you, guesses a number between 1 and 3 for every hint on every row. So basically, there's going to be 9 hints. Think of a 3x3 square, like 3 up here, 3 here, 3 here. And starting from the top row, you'll guess a number 1 to 3 of one of the hints. It could be randomly organized, but if you've not guessed the item before taking one hint on each row, the cycle will continue to the top row again until every hint is revealed. So you'd ask a number like 1 to 3, and maybe you ask for hint number 1. I'll give you hint number 1. And then you go to the second row, ask hint 1 to 3. Maybe you say number 3, then I'll give you that hint. And then if it goes all the way down, then you go back up here until there's no more hints, and then you're out of it. I will tell you what the category is, like if it's a current player or a former player, before you can ask for any hints. And if you get it right before any hints, you'll get 10 points. But if you get it right after 1 hint, you get 9 points, 2 hints, 8 points, and that keeps going until if you get it after every hint is used, you get 1 guess. You get 1 point if you get that right. So
okay, is there like a visual, or is this just all like, you know?
You'll just be asking me like a number 1 to 3, like every time, and then I'll tell you which ones you've used. Like if we run through back down the list and stuff. So I will say though, the board for current players is the same. Like the first 2 are going to be current players, and I'll remind you this. The board is the same for both of them, like the types of hints, but they're organized randomly. Okay.
So like, it really doesn't matter what hint I ask, like 1, 2, or 3. It's just like a number that like gives you a random.
Right. And I could tell you what the hints are in each row, but I can't tell you where they are. So
okay.
Other than that, though,
I think I get this. I think I get it.
There's 5 of them. If you get top score, like maximum points on each one, there's 50 possible points. But I mean, if you get, I'd probably say like 15 should be like a solid benchmark. Maybe 15, 20, somewhere in there.
So after one hint, you get it right. How many points is that?
That would be 9. Because
Oh,
before
so this must be hard because 15 as a bar is like that's only two guesses that are right.
no. So there's 9 hints on each one. So,
Oh
yeah.
shoot.
So
Okay.
we'll get
Makes
into
sense.
it, and it'll make
Yeah,
sense.
well,
Okay.
we'll get into it.
Okay.
Let's stop the
So
topic. All
the first item. So I'll tell you, it is a current player. So now you can make one guess after every hint you asked. You can make one guess after me giving you the category as well. But then you got to ask a hint and go from there. But if you want to make a guess right now, you would get 10 points. It's a current player.
So does it have to be yes or no questions as the guesses? I mean, as the hints.
So you're just guessing like what it is every time.
Okay, so I just guess a random player to see if I can get it right.
Yes.
You're
allowed with one every time, but okay,
I'll go with obviously no basis. Jordan Clarkson.
It is not Jordan Clarkson. Okay. So
that's
the 10-point opportunity. So now we're moving into the first row. I call it like the A row. 1 to 3. You'd have to pick a number between 1 and 3. But the things in this row, you could get the guy's position, you could get the guy's height, and you can get the guy's where he was born. These are the hints in this row.
Okay.
So
I'll go with position.
Well, no, you don't. So you don't get to pick which.
Oh shoot!
Okay. You got to pick a number 1 to 3. They're randomly hidden under the number.
Oh, they're randomly. Okay, I thought you said like 1 is this, 2 is this. Okay.
No. So those are the things there, but yeah.
I'll go 2.
Okay, so 2 is where he was born. So
what? That's the worst one.
So he was born. Maybe it's not. He was born in Palmdale, California.
Okay. Palmdale doesn't do much for me. California, I guess, does a little bit. Okay.
You are allowed to make one guess. If you don't want, you can move on to the next hint in the next row.
Well, it doesn't hurt me to make a guess, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go with DeMar DeRozan.
It is not DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, I know he was in California.
Okay, so now the B row. So we're moving down from the A row to the B row. You get, again, a number 1 to 3. The things on this row are what college he went to, what draft team, like what team drafted him, and a list of his accolades. So pick a number 1 to 3, and I'll give you one of those hints.
I'll go with 3 this time.
Okay, so number 3, not bad. It's the draft team. So he was drafted by the Indiana Pacers.
I'm writing all this down so I don't lose it. Okay, the Pacers.
From Palmdale, California.
Palmdale, California is weird to me. Drafted by, and he's current.
Yeah,
so
current.
I'll go with Paul George.
It is Paul George. Yes.
Let's go.
So not bad. That's a good
I'll
one.
take
8
that.
points. So you get 8 points because you used 2 hints and then you didn't get it like right after the category. So 8 points is still pretty good. So then how it would work after that is then if you didn't get it, we'd go to the C row and you do 1 to 3 again. If you didn't get it from there, we go to the A row and you'd have to guess between the 2 hints you didn't use. And it keeps going like down the line, until you're out.
I was expecting these to be like obscure ass players. Like,
well,
I thought it was gonna be like
I will say it's gonna get a little harder.
Okay.
But we'll see. So are you ready for the second one?
Let's do it.
Okay. So as I said before, and I'll remind you. So the second one is also a current player.
Okay.
So you can
shot in the dark. A little bit harder this time. I'll go with Andrew Wiggins.
It is not Andrew Wiggins. So like I said, the current players, the A row, all the rows for the current players, they're the same items. They're just randomly organized. So again, his height, where he was born, and his position are the things in the A row. Give me a number 1 to 3, and I'll reveal one of those hints.
Let's do 1.
So where he was born
Dog.
Again. So he
It's
was
gonna be like Arkansas or something.
he was born in New Brunswick, New Jersey.
Okay. New Brunswick does nothing for me. I'll just write down New Jersey. All right. Okay. Bro, I can't really think of many players born in New Jersey. That honestly doesn't do anything for me.
You don't have to guess, but again, you can if you want.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't hurt me to guess. It might
Yeah.
as well, right?
Mm.
Current player. I don't know who was born in New Jersey. I'll go with Tyus Jones. I don't know.
It is not Tyus Jones.
I don't even think he was born in New Jersey.
Okay, so the B row is accolades, the college he went to, and the team that drafted him. So pick a number 1 to 3.
Sue 1 again.
Okay, number 1, you got the same hints as last time. It's the draft team again. So the team that drafted him, the Dallas Mavericks.
From New Jersey. Let's think. For some reason, the player that keeps going to my mind is Devin Harris, but he's not even in the league anymore. That's just so weird. I don't know why. I'll go with Jalen Brunson.
It is Jalen Brunson.
Let's go.
Wow. Okay.
Let's go.
So back-to-back 8-pointers, back-to-back same
I had no
hints.
idea. I had no idea he was born in New Jersey. Like, absolutely no idea.
I thought it was one easy way to remember it now is that he was born in New Brunswick, and it's Jalen Brunson. So
Oh, that's crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
I actually didn't think of that until I was putting this together, but I'm like, wow, okay. So you got 8 points there. You got 16 already. You're doing better than I thought you would. So
I'm doing better than I thought, yeah.
But the third one, it's gonna get a little different. So this is a former player. Okay. You haven't got to the C row yet, but what I will say is the C row is different than what it was for the current players. Not that that matters because again, you haven't been to the C row yet. But so it's a former player, and you can make your first guess at it before getting into it if you want.
Former player. Let's go Danny Granger.
It is not Danny Granger. Solid guess though. Okay, so the A row, 1 to 3, between again his height, where he was born, and his position.
Go 2.
So number 2, this guy was actually born in London.
Oh,
England.
another born.
But
London?
London, England. Yeah.
What the hell? Okay, foreign guy. How did I get born for the third time?
I have no idea.
So unhelpful. Okay. Okay, so now make a guess. Who on earth is born in? Who's a basketball? Former. Zaza Pachulia. Definitely not born in London.
It is not Zaza. No.
Okay, I don't know who's born in.
So the B row is again, like I said, the same draft team, college, and accolades. What number one?
Go 3.
So you're getting the draft team again.
Oh, this is rigged.
This is insane. But the draft team, maybe it'll help you out. He was drafted by my Chicago Bulls.
Okay. Former in London. What the hell? London? Bro, who's in London?
And again, he was drafted by them. So maybe he played there a little bit. He also could have never played for them, or he could have played a lot of time with them.
Tony Kukoc.
It is not Tony Kukoc. Okay, so
where is he from? Do you
know? He's from, I believe it's Croatia. I have to double check that. Yeah. So
chance.
The C row. Now this is, like I said, different. But the 3 things in the C row are how long his career lasted, like the years. His most popular team, like the team he played the most for, and his current age.
Okay.
So
let's go with 2.
So number 2 is where his career lasted from. So he started his career in 2004 and he played till 2015.
Hey, all right. That's helpful actually. The London thing is really throwing me off. Like, I can't name one player from London. Who is from London? Like, what? Maybe it's like a Kyrie situation where it's like he was born in Australia, but he moved right to like, I don't know. Really, this is really tough. Played for the Bulls 2004. Dude, I honestly, I'm gonna just get another hint. I don't need to make it a dumb guess.
Okay.
Let's just do another hint.
So now we go back to the A row, but we're doing the 2 hints that you haven't used. So you got to
Okay.
pick either number 1 or number 3. Which one do you want?
One.
So number 1 is a shooting guard, is his position.
Okay. On the Bulls in 2004. That's so long ago. Dude, this is tough. It's just really the London thing that's throwing me off. Could it be Rip Hamilton?
It is not Rip Hamilton.
Was he drafted by the Bulls?
No. He was. I think he started with the Wizards, but
I don't know.
yeah. So
It's like
yeah. So all right. So the B row, again, you got to pick either number 1 or number 2.
this London thing is crazy. Let's go one.
So number 1, he went to college at UConn.
From London.
He was born in London. Yeah.
That's so weird. That doesn't help me. I don't know any from UConn in 2004. That's like what? Oh, this one's really tough. This is really tough, isn't it? Like this,
Yeah.
it's probably a no.
I would say that like it is kind of tough. Yeah, I would say.
I'll go with Mo Williams.
Not Mo Williams. No.
No way he's from London.
Okay, so the C block again, the C row. You got to guess either number 1 or number 3.
Wait, Mo Williams is a point guard. What is?
Yeah,
Jesus.
He,
Okay. I'll go with 3. This one's really tough.
so number 3 is his most popular team that he was most known with, and it also is the Chicago Bulls. So he was drafted by the Bulls, and he's mostly known for the Chicago Bulls too. And he's a shooting guard.
From London. Bro, this is really weird. I'm trying to think of like the Joakim Noah Rose days. Like who was like I really have nobody right now. I for some reason like the 2004 to like 2010 era of the Bulls like nothing happened. Like I can't even like think of anyone from that era. Yeah, I'm like actually lost on this one. Most known for playing on the Bulls. Bro, I can't think of anyone. What? Why is this one so difficult?
I say it would get harder, but you could take the next hint if you want, or
Yeah, let me just. I literally can't think of anyone. Let me just take the next hint. I mean,
okay. So we're going back up to the A row, the final time through. So you don't get to choose now, but
okay.
the hint remaining is this guy's height is 6'3".
Oh, he's a 6'3" shooting guard.
Yes.
Okay. 6'3" shooting guard. What? Okay, I think I have a good answer.
Okay.
But no, it's not. He played past 2015. All right, I'll go with Kirk Heinrich.
It is not Kirk Heinrich. That's a good guess, though. That's a good guess.
I mean, yeah, that's like all I got really.
So the next hint is his accolades and the B row, the last one for the B row. His accolades, he only has one real notable thing, and that is he was the Sixth Man of the Year winner one time.
Crawford?
You going Jamal Crawford?
Wait, no, he's not. I forgot the note. He's definitely not known for playing on the Bulls. It's not Jamal Crawford. He's not known for playing on the Bulls. Can I take that back?
Yeah, you can take it back. I was just asking.
I don't know why I thought that. Sixth Man of the Year. Okay.
One time.
Not Lou Williams. Not Lou Williams, obviously. Not Jamal Crawford. Not a Sixth Man of the Year one time. 6'3". I have no one, bro. I'll just go Jamal Crawford. I have no one, honestly. I can't think of anyone.
It is not Jamal Crawford.
Yeah.
So the last hint remaining is his current age. He's currently 40 years old, if that helps you to any degree.
Dude, for some reason the London thing just made me stop thinking about any like real players. Like, is this okay? Is this one like do you know this player well?
Me, yeah.
Because you're a Bulls fan, but I feel like he's like 40 now.
You know this guy. You're probably just not thinking of him right now.
Yeah, that happens so much when I do stuff like this, like NBA trivia.
So you could throw out a guess unless you simply don't know.
Yeah, I really can't guess anyone. Okay. I don't know why my brain just went to nothing.
Okay, so the correct answer was actually Ben Gordon.
And I wouldn't have gotten that. First of all, he's from London?
Yeah, he was born in London. It's pretty crazy.
I feel like I remember Ben Gordon with like the Hornets or the Bobcats at the time.
He played his most time with the Bulls, and he averaged like 20 points per game a couple years, like with the Bulls. Yeah. And then he went to the Pistons, and then he was on the Bobcats, and I think like the Magic or something. But
dude, that London thing just threw me off completely. Like,
yeah,
that's crazy.
So you still got 16 points. There's 2 more left.
2 more. All right, we'll make these ones quicker, hopefully.
So the fourth one, I will say this: the fourth one probably isn't as hard as the third one, but we'll see. So this guy is also a former player.
Former player.
Yep.
All right. I'll go with Evan Turner.
It is not Evan Turner. Okay, so the A row again, it could be his height, his position, or where he was born. Which one are you going to take? Like number
Those
1 to
one.
3. So his height is 6'10".
Let's go with Elton Brand.
It is not Elton Brand. Solid guess, though. Okay, so the B row, it could be his college, his draft team, or his accolades. 1 to 3, which one are you taking?
I'm gonna take what I took 3 last time, right? I'll take 3 again.
Okay, well, that's probably a good choice because that's his accolades, and he has a lot of them. So he is in the NBA Hall of Fame. He's a 7-time All-Star, 2-time block champion, a 1-time NBA champion, 2-time All-NBA, 2-time All-Defensive, and a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year.
How many rings did you say he had?
He has 1 championship.
All right, is it Dikembe Mutombo?
It is not Dikembe Mutombo.
Damn it! I thought that was right.
Okay, so the C row again, it could be his current age, the team he's most known for, and his career length. 1 to 3.
Let's go. I think I know who it is, but let's go with 2.
So number 2 is his current age, which he is 53 years old.
Okay, I think I know who. Well, I feel like he'd be a little older than that. All right, I was gonna go with Hakeem.
It is not Hakeem.
What? And I thought I was for sure right. I mean, I think how many championships does Hakeem have?
He has 2. Yeah, 2.
Damn, I thought that was right.
Okay,
all right.
So back to the A row between position
53 right
and
now.
where he was born. Pick a number, either number 2 or number 3.
Go 3.
So probably not a great one. He was born in Chesapeake, Virginia.
Yeah, that's not going to help with anything. Virginia. Yeah, I mean, that's not okay. So now I know it's not a Hakeem or Dikembe or something like that because they're all foreign. 53, 7-time All-Star.
2-time block champion, too.
Block champion. Not Dwight Howard, obviously. What am I thinking? Who was like a... This really shouldn't be hard for me. It can't be Joakim Noah, obviously. I'm thinking too current. I have to think like a little bit before that. Like... Dude, I have no one right now. What the hell?
Do you want the next hint?
Yeah, let's just do the next hint. Let's do the next hint.
So either number 1 or number 2. Pick either 1 or 2.
Go with 2.
So he was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets.
Okay. Drafted by the Hornets. Drafted by the Hornets. Who the hell is on the who? Is it Alonzo Mourning or something?
It is Alonzo Mourning.
Oh my God, let's go. Let's go.
That's impressive.
That was tough. That was tough.
So you got it in 6 hints. So that's 5 points right there. Puts you over 20 points. You got 21 total.
Are you gonna do this with like your other guests to like see where they rank?
I haven't done this consistently on this show, but I'm thinking about doing something maybe like this, like a tournament thing, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, you should do that.
Okay, so the 5th thing, player, coach, whatever, but it is actually a team that you're guessing on the 5th one.
Makes it a lot.
And I will say, too, all the rows are different because it's a team, obviously.
Okay.
So, yeah, you can make a guess if you
All
want.
right. Oh, okay. I have 1 in 30 chance. I'll go with the Atlanta Hawks.
It is not the Hawks. Okay, so the A row, there's 3 things on here. It could be the last time they made the playoffs, how many jerseys they have retired, and the year they were founded. So 1 to 3, which number you feel?
I hope I don't get the jersey one. I'm going to go with 3.
So number 3, probably I would think maybe is the most useful hint. The last time they made the playoffs was 2019. And when I say playoffs, that means like no play-in.
That rules out so many teams. Okay. Last time they made the playoffs, 2019. It could be. It's probably is it Detroit Pistons.
It is not the Detroit Pistons. Okay, so the B row, there's 3 things in here. A lot of them are about winning. There's how many division titles they have, how many conference titles they have, and how many NBA titles they have. So 1 to 3, which number are you feeling?
2.
Not bad. So that's probably the best one. The number of NBA championships they have is 5.
Okay. Oh, is it the Jazz?
It is not the Jazz.
Damn.
Okay, so
it's like that. Yeah, they definitely made the playoffs in like 2021. That was dumb. I don't know why.
So the C row, there is probably 1 for sure giveaway, maybe 2 in the C row, but one of them is probably a for sure giveaway. There are 3 things in here. There's the team's arena, like the arena name, the head coach, and the team colors.
Okay, this will give it away, probably. Let's go with 1.
So number 1 is the team colors. So their team colors are silver and black. Wait, who'd you guess? Sorry, I didn't hear.
The Spurs.
Yes, it is the Spurs.
Yeah, that was just a dead giveaway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine you said Greg Popovich. Like, that would be even more of a...
I felt like that one was even more of a giveaway because, like, that's who you associate him with. But, like, at least silver and black, maybe you could think, like, the Nets or something like that. Or, but even though they're, like, more white and black and stuff. But, yeah, so you got 7 on that. You got 5 on Alonzo Mourning. You got 8 on each of the current players. So that's a total of 28 points. That's pretty good.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah. I thought
Jordan one was like no chance of that one. Like absolutely no chance.
I thought maybe it'd be a little harder, but maybe you just stole the show. I don't know.
Oh, this is a great game, low key. I think you should do it more often with more people. Like I want to see like Romp or like someone like that do this game. That'd be funny.
We will see. But yeah, appreciate you once again being on. Hopefully you had fun and hopefully you guys enjoyed watching at home. You got any other final thoughts before we close this thing out?
Nah, man, I'm excited to see the rest of the playoffs. It's crazy that all that craziness already happened in the first round. We have 3 more rounds to go. Yeah, I'm excited for the playoffs. For sure. We'll see what happens. Check the description below. I'm gonna have my guy Reliable Rants' stuff down there. But other than that, I think that's gonna do it for us. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Thank you guys for watching, and we're out. Peace.